So he's. Sorry, yes, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Cool. So anyway, if he was standing here and he heard me say homosexual, he wouldn't know what I was talking about. There isn't a word in Latin for that. Not a word. I mean, some people, men and women, men and men. It was just the way life was. It was very common, actually, especially rich, and for a man to have a special friend, often a relative, a teenager, a man, that would be the man's particular friend. Now, in our world, that was not considered odd at all. And this particular friend was this chap, Antinous, and he came from where Turkey is. And he met him in the 120s, 123, I think it was. Great athlete, you can imagine. Yeah. Great relationship between the two. Love relationship between the two. And then famously, or I suppose it's infamously, in 130, October 130 AD, the imperial party was down on the Nile, checking on Egypt, checking on the Nile. They're down there, And he, at the end of October, gets up early to go for a swim in the Nile before breakfast. And almost at once, he drowns in the Nile. I can still get your PhD on this. There's so many books and articles and everything else. We don't really know what was happening. There's lots of speculation, and we think we know, but what we do know is this has been a love match. Hadrian does not get over the death of Antinous. The following year, in 131 AD, he made him god, and there used to be temples in the eastern part of the empire where you could go and worship Antinous, as a god. But the glory days were now over for Hadrian, and in 138 he died. Now, I'm conscious of time, they keep telling me, so I'll try. Dug up by the British in Victorian times, but they don't find the art. So there it is. Great building. Always putting money up for building all the time. Yeah. So he says, one of the main emperors that says, forget all this stuff from Hadrian about we're not expanding. But this is nonsense. He knows perfectly well. You've got thousands of soldiers, tens of thousands of soldiers. I mean, you can imagine what Roman soldiers might do when they're conquering and all that. You can imagine stealing and everything else. It's not quite your salary, but it's like kind of the way you train. Especially well, if you keep all these thousands of soldiers cooped up in barracks, eventually they'll turn on you. That's what they'll do. So he tries to expand. He goes into where Germany is, fails. He crosses what's now Hadrian's Wall into the north of England and Scotland, and he fails. As I said, he dies in York. He's a chap who's on his deathbed in York, and one of his sons, his older son, Caracalla here, as in the Caracalla baths in Rome, he, sitting by his father's bedside as he died, and he says to him, can you give me any advice, Dad? Any advice, Dad, on how to run the empire? And he's the famous man, when he's dying, that says, look after the soldiers and ignore the rest. And that saying has come right through history. It's used by tyrants. In other words, make sure you've got enough soldiers, give them everything they want. Money, land, weapons, everything. If anybody complains, just kill everybody else. So look after it now that that's come right through. He also said to Caracalla, look after your older brother, your younger brother, Gaeta. Let's just say Gaeta, not really Roman emperor material. Within a year, Caracalla's had him killed. So we're into brutish times in the 200. I mean, central power is weak again. Inflation is running wild. There's no value left in coinage, or very little value, yeah? We are, by the end of the 200s, in serious trouble. So I'll just quickly finish here. That's it from here. Now, coming here, this collection of silver comes from, this collection of silver comes from northern France, it's now a village called Charolles, and it dates from most of it from the 200s AD. I want you to imagine that we all live in a town in Gaul, in northern France, in the late 200s, and near the channel, not where Calais is, further out, but that's where we live. And we've spent our life there, yeah? Now, we've probably never seen a soldier. I mean, occasionally you do if you're married to one, or you know, your son is, or whatever. But they're on the borders, they're on Hadrian's Wall, they're on the right, they're guarding us, yeah? And then over a relatively short space of time, more people where Russia is now are moving west, pressing on the tribes where Germany is, and then pressing through these barriers. So we're in our town in northern France. It's January, it's pouring with rain, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it's cold, and the cry goes up in a few hours, barbarians will be here. So what do? You panic. Well, where's the soldiers? They're on Hadrian's Wall. What was that? Yeah, so you find, because of this, on the two things happen. The first thing is, you can't rely on the government to look after you, you've got to look after yourself. You find that towns will put walls around them. You can go into the south of France and you can see bits of wall from certain towns, and they all date from this period. Even Rome itself, the barbarians get into this much of Rome. So in the 270s, the Aurelian Wall gets built in Rome. Even Rome, you know, the barbarians are almost on Rome, yeah. That's the first thing. The second thing you learn, and it's still true now, you learn if you've got any wealth, you learn to keep it liquid. It's no good rushing down the road at 3 o'clock in the morning and all the rest of it in the cold with your furniture and your pictures and your cart and your horse and all that. The barbarians will have you in pieces. So what you do is you collect coin, not modern rubbish, old-fashioned coin, gold and silver, old-fashioned stuff with value. If you're married, make sure your wife has good quality jewels, you know, not bling, you know, stuff you can sell, And then if they come in, the barbarians, what you do is you throw it into bags, get on your horse, or you run. You've got your wealth, you run, that's what you do. If you've got so much stuff, you just can't carry it. What you do is you buy special boxes, and you put it in boxes and you bury it near a tree or whatever. You're hoping that the Roman soldiers will re-establish Roman power, and you can come back and dig it up and carry on. But increasingly, Roman soldiers don't come back. Increasingly, the barbarians have these places forever. And we've been digging a lot of this stuff up called hoards. You can go to the British Roman Gallery on this floor and you can see in the last 100 years we've been digging a lot of this stuff up, you know, that was buried in the late 200s. And this is the largest hoard of Roman silver dinnerware that's ever been found. It's not all in the case. It's got everything except flatware. There's no spoons and knives, but it's got everything else. Most of it is from silver, most of it's from the 200s AD, but there's quite a few items from the 100s, which suggests that the people at the time valued it. You know, this is granny's stuff, which has been handed down. We don't know that, but it suggests that that's true. A couple of things to show you. If you look at this collection, you look, it was early when they found this. This was in the 1880s. It was put up for auction in Paris in the 1880s and bought by the British Museum at that time. So it's been here a long time. If you look at the top, you see that pepper pot that's a slave is on the top shelf. He's touching his knees there. Now that's a swank item. Pepper coming from India and points east is seriously expensive, especially in inflationary times. I mean, some recipes will call for pepper, but in inflationary times, ordinary people are not going to be using pepper. Now I'm the Roman official. You come, I invite you all to dinner with me, and you use pepper. Now, you'll talk about that for the rest of your life. Do you remember when we went to dinner with Roman whatever, and he let us use pepper? I mean, you'll talk about that. But even though I'm a show-off, I can't let you go mad with pepper. So this tradition of shaking pepper out grows up, and that, you can imagine, my friends and I have had a go. I mean, if trying to get pepper out of that, you nearly break your wrist. I mean, I can't let you go mad with the pepper, because it's just seriously. So that's one thing. The other thing is the dish with the swastika on. That's coming from India. That has nothing to do with Hitler. It's about as opposite to Hitler as you can probably get. It's about your relationship with the divine, with godliness. I was going to say it's Hindu, but there are one or two religions in India that will use this. So it's about as opposite to Hitler as you could probably get. But in this context, it's a swank item. You come for dinner with me, the Roman official in northern France, and you're going to say, after dinner, what's that? Because you've never seen it before. And I'm going to say, well, you know the wasters. Spent all your life in this town in northern France. Well, a waste of life. I've been everywhere. I've done everything. Travelled to Rome, seen this, done that. It just lets me swing. That's what that does. By about 300, Rome puts itself back together again for a bit. And then into the 300s it splits between east and west. The east based on Istanbul, Constantinople, eventually becoming Christian and speaking Greek. And that goes on for a few hundred years in that area. But into the 300s and 400s, the barbarians have the whole of what we call Western Europe, and the game is over. So there we are. Thanks very much. Thanks. Thank you. That's nice. Sorry I have to rush a bit there. Yes, I've just been able to
Yeah, that was definitely.
Sorry folks, this section is closed now. We just make our way to the exit this way, please. Thank you.
What time does the museum close?
Museum is closing at 10 to 5 for the gallery, but some galleries today have to close early.
What about Egypt?
Egypt's still open, but you'll have to access it through the other side, I'm afraid. Can we out, please?
Yes, they did. That's right. Yes.
How did they get
Usually, still, it's always when they started, they always sort of fighting and all that. But actually, after a while, that breaks down. It was popular with the soldiers.
He was a commander of the army.
Absolutely. He used money.
Room are closing. Please make your way out to the exit.